This is another Denon, actually Casio Walkman DAT recorder player. I've had a couple of these before. They all have the same problem with the capacitors that go bad on it and cause it to have low sound. At least that's what we think is wrong with this one. I'm going to go in there and start changing caps out, and we'll see if we can get this one to run too. Let's check this one out. Alright, got another one of these. This is a Denon portable DAT. It's going to be a Casio. I already noticed that someone's been in here because the power switch is broken. SPLP switch, well, I don't know. Anyway, I'll probably break the rest of them getting into this because this was just a disaster, this particular design. I don't think I've ever seen a design that's been this poor as far as getting into it to service it goes. It's very difficult. I noticed there's a screw missing already from it, so I only took out the one screw there. We're going to get into this one. The complaint on this is it's got low sound, so we're gonna dive right into it. I'm not even going to test it first because the fellow that sent it to me, I've done a few of them for him already. So when he says it's got low sound, I believe him. Of course, we already suspect what the fault is going to be on this. It's going to be surface mounted. Not so much surface mounted. They're regular capacitors that are just, they have little cases on them, but they still leak. But they're legged capacitors on a board that's on top here, sandwiched in between. So we have to open this chassis up, get the mechanism apart. Seeing an awful lot of shadows on my bench. I don't have all the lights on right now, but alright, I think this will pop out now. If I'm very, very, very careful, it will drop out. I think I got all the screws. These are, as I say, it's a really stupid design, the way that they have these switches on the front, because this whole chassis should just lift out. But the thing that scares the hell out of me is these little buttons here. They tend to snap off really, really, really easy when you try to remove it. You kind of have to press it down and kind of slide it out at the same time while everything falls off, and hope that the switches don't catch and snap. Okay, I think I got that. See, the power switch was already snapped off, but I didn't break the other ones. This is what I mean. This is a trap. You see these stupid little switches that stick out there, right? When you're trying to take it apart, a lot of times these little switches will get caught because they fit into these little channels on here, right? And as you're taking it apart, it hits the next one down and can snap it. So it's just an asinine design, if you ask me, on these units. Same with the record button. The record button also can get snapped off very easy. I find that for the record button, at least, it's easier to pop it out and pop the button back in after the fact. Okay. Now I need to remove the front display, as I need to remove this board. I need to get to this board here, which is where all the bloody capacitors that are bad live. This will unplug. There we go. That unplugs like that. That's as far as I got to take that. I can unplug this one too as well, just so it's not in the way. That's for the buttons on the top. Although I don't really need to. I don't think I need to anyway. I can pull this other board out now. And then this board should lift down. There we go. That's what I need out of here. I need this board. Because this is the one that all the capacitors that are bad are on. So after you've done a few of these units, you get to know which parts go bad. And the parts that go bad on here are those caps. You can see these ones are leaking. But so I've got one 10 microfarad here. These are both 10s. These are 22s and these are 100s. I'm going to change those capacitors out, and that should fix this one. Of course, these units are very, very old today. I'm surprised that some of them are still working, actually. I mean, really, they probably shouldn't be working at all, considering how old they are. And so when these were designed, they were never really designed to last the length of time they've lasted. When these things were built, they would have been expected that they would have been retired after, a few years in the field. All these portable devices are like that, right? They just... I mean, who would have thought that, 40 years later, someone would still be using a Walkman? Certainly not the manufacturers, that's for sure. I know someone's going to probably comment saying, oh, those capacitors aren't the best ones. You should have used Rubicon or you should have used Nikicron. I use what I can get. Right? I don't really have a lot of choice as to what the supplier has in stock when I get them. Too bad guys didn't have smell-o-vision. You could smell the stench I'm here smelling from these fishy caps. They stink. This is the one low profile that I actually have that I can put here on this one, just because it really doesn't have a lot of space. I wish they all were low profile like this, but unfortunately I'm down to my last one, so it goes where the space is critical. Even at that, this one's probably a little bit too tall, but we'll make it fit. Okay, that's the 10s done. The next one is the 22s over here. I've got a couple of 22s and a couple of 100s. What else have I got here? That's a 100 and that's a 100. And I got two 22s. What is this one? Another 10. Was there another 10 in here? No, I got the 10s. Yeah, okay, that was, I guess I grabbed an extra one. $22 and 22 to replace these two over here. See, this is where this gets real tight. I might have to put that other one in here just because its legs are a little shorter. That one there, and this next one beside it. Very, very tight in here. Some have asked why I don't just go to surface mounted caps. Well, it's because I don't have access to any. I don't order parts. I don't order stuff from DigiKey or anything because of the outrageous shipping charges. I don't order parts in bulk because I don't want to stock them. I don't want to stock a bunch of parts that are going to be dead and never be used. And that's because I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this, right? I mean, I'll keep fixing stuff as long as people want me to fix it, but there's going to come a time where people just don't want to have it done. They don't want to pay to have it done, and the work dries up, and I don't want to end up, choking on a bunch of parts. That's why I don't go and buy 100 capacitors at a time, because I buy 10 at a time because I don't know if they're ever going to get used. That's the thing, right? the repair business has been dead for over 20 years, and it's just the odd person that wants to get stuff fixed. Most people just toss it out. And I can't blame them for doing that, to tell you the truth. I'm one of them. I usually don't fix my own stuff unless it's something I really need. Like I'll keep my old VCRs going because I use them to archive tapes, but I don't use them to record anything on, just to archive tapes. If I wasn't doing that, I would have tossed them years ago. Oh, smell that fish. Smell that frying fish. Alright, this is the 100 microfarad. Like the other ones, I have to get creative and kind of lie these in at an angle because there's just no room to mount it in here. And these are the smallest 100s I could get my hands on. Hopefully that'll fit. They're just talking about a foot of snow they got in Halifax today, and yet it's like 10 degrees out or 11 degrees out here. Not complaining about the weather one bit. They can have the snow back there. Okay, that's got that. Let's just see whether I've got clearance to get this board back in it. At least I don't have to worry about it running into motors and stuff like some of those decks where they got a motor right there, right? At least this one here, I don't have to deal with that. So this goes like this. Will it snap in or won't it? It should snap in. There should be enough clearance here, I think. Try to reassemble this unit and see if I've made any progress. Okay, next is the front panel. We'll get this plugged back in, and then I should be able to test it at this point. Plug that in. And then I reinsert the plug over here. And plug that back in. And again, throw the 3 screws in, and now I should be able to power this unit up and test it and see whether I've got any sound. And that's when I'll know that it's a success. I got 3 units in from the same fella. So there'll be another 2 more after this one. Okay. Let's check it out and see if it works. Interesting, I plug in my cable and it's humming. What's going on with this cable? Is this cable ground no bloody good? Well, let's just see here. Ground should be down to the, got a tip and a ring. It should be a ground connection here. And I don't have a connection. I have a connection between those two, but there's no ground. What gives? Okay, well that's obviously no good. I'll just try this one. I guess it would work if there was a if I had something else grounding it, like I had an input plugged in that was grounded. It would work for that, but it's not working for that one, that's for sure. I just got a couple more of these couplers and I can't find them, so I'll have to use this one. Okay, so this is the output. Now let's see if this thing will, how's this open? I guess it's this one here. Oh, why is it not working? Because it's in hold mode. There, okay, that part works. Let's pop this tape in. I don't know what's on this tape. Probably something I can't play, but we'll see. That part works. Let's try play. And I don't hear any sound. I see indication of sound on the meter. I don't hear any sound at all. What the hell? Well, okay, well, it's more serious than just those caps. He said no sound. Well, he certainly meant there is no sound. Just looking at the outputs here, input, output, yeah, that should be there. Input selector doesn't affect the output. I should have sound. That's really weird. I can see something showing up on the display here, but I'm not getting any sound out the output on this one. Everything's plugged in, I think. I can hear the op amps are working. I just noticed that this switch is broken on here too. That's for the auxiliary mic line selector, mic or line. Yeah, the other one's the optical or coaxial or analog input. That's another switch down here. That one's okay, but this one's got 2 switches to it, one there and one on the top, and I noticed that one's also appears to be broken, and I didn't break it. I'll take another peek at the board. I'll pull the board again just for a minute. Just take another look at it and see whether there's anything that has come loose. But I got no sound, and I should have sound. It's it's very possible that those leaky caps got soaked into the board and have damaged the board. That's always a possibility. Everything's in place. Nothing's come loose. So I'm just checking around the digital to analog converter, and I see indication on here, but this is probably measuring the digital signal, not analog, because I'm just scoping and I see data going in, but I see nothing coming out, and I don't know why. It could be a clock is wrong. I don't have any service data on this unit at all, so when it gets into digital circuits, I'm kind of at a loss because I really don't have much info on any of these units. I mean, transport-wise, it's working, but I just hear very, very low. Like, if I crank it up, you don't hear anything now because there's nothing playing. But when I crank this thing up, crank up the amplifier, you can almost hear something, noise in the background. If I crank it up, you can just hear, almost hear noise. I know there's something on the tape too, so it's not like it's a tape that doesn't have anything recorded on it. Again, nothing there. I see indications on the meter, although the meter seems to be I just see like a constant level on the meter, right? Could be the music, I guess. Hard to say. Or whether it's just noise coming from something. I mean, when I crank it up, all I hear is like a hissing sound. But I don't know that this is going to be worth fixing, just because it's it's not the more common things on this. I know the guy that owns this thing, he likes his DAT machines. He's got multiple DAT machines. Let's see what happens here on this one. So there's nothing yet, but nothing started recording there. Now it starts. Yeah, there's just nothing there, just a hissing sound. I guess what I'm going to have to do is get a hold of the fellow that owns this thing and just talk to him about it, because again, it's not the normal. When it was sent to me, I was thinking, okay, it's low sound. It's going to be the standard problem with these, which is the capacitors that go bad. And as we can see here, when I pop this out, pop the board out again. Everything plugged in nice, everything snapped in. I don't think the caps are too high. I don't think they're hitting anything. Seems to be a bit of clearance. I had to bend a few of them in a little strange way to make the things fit, because they're not the low profile caps that the original ones were, but I've used them before. I fixed a few of these things and I've used the same caps. And it's not like we're hitting anything, right? There's clearance where they're sitting. The only ones that were at issue were the ones here, which I had to bend it sideways so that they didn't hit that chip, which were these ones here. The other ones, there's nothing in the way. They're not hitting anything. So I don't know why I don't have sound. I should have sound, but I don't. I'm just kind of going through the circuit here, looking at voltages and stuff, and I see lots of positive supplies. I don't see any negative supplies, and I think there's probably supposed to be a negative supply in here somewhere. And I don't see any, and that might be why it's not working. There's no negative supply, although I don't know where it comes from, right? I just don't know anything about the circuitry. I don't have a schematic for it or anything. I'm just kind of probing, seeing if I can find something that looks off, and well, what I found that looks off is no negative supply, and I'm pretty sure that they probably would have a positive and a negative supply, because there's going to be op amps on here. If nothing else, the D-Day converter would need a negative supply, and I don't see one. So it may be that some of the crap that leaked out of some of those caps has attacked the traces on the board, and that's why there's no negative supply. I mean, that's my best guess, is that the board itself has been damaged by leaking electrolytic from the caps. Pop the board out one more time here and take a look at it. I've already wasted more time on this thing than it's worth. I've been on this thing now for about 3 hours, and it's certainly not worth spending 3 hours on a Walkman, because what I'll make on this thing won't begin to cover my time. I'm probably further ahead just to contact the guy and let him know that this is not a minor problem like the last two that he sent me. I think I did 2 or 3 of them for him. I did a Denon and a Casio. I think I did maybe a couple Casios and a Denon. They're the same. It's a Casio, right? They're the same unit, but I've changed the caps on them before and they've worked. Maybe that's why he thought he'd get lucky and change the caps on this one and it would work too, but I mean, nothing's touching. There's nothing shorting out. The only thing I can think of is either there's a regulator that's bad on here, or a trace that's eaten through, because it's a double-sided, actually it's a multi-layer board. There's internal traces, like camcorder boards. There's internal traces that connect from one side to the other and carry voltages through. I see I've got a VCC here. Common, positive, I don't know. I'm sure this has got a split supply, and that there'll be a converter in here, a DC to DC converter somewhere. Maybe not, maybe it is a single supply, but usually a lot of these use a little DC to DC converter. Like there's one right here on this board here that would generate different voltages. I don't know whether it's just for the display or whether it might be for the backlight. I don't know if this has got a electroluminescent panel that might be for the backlight, but definitely there's a little transformer there for something that might generate negative voltages for the unit itself. Again, these would be, if you get a schematic for it, that's a step in the right direction. I have nothing for this unit, so I'm kind of just going by what I've done on units in the past, which has always just been these bloody caps that have gone bad. But it's more than that on this one, and I think maybe at this point in time I might be just further ahead just to call it a day and write this one off as one that's uneconomical to repair. Yeah, I see on this board, I see a header that's marked VAA and another that's marked VDD, so it's going to have a positive and negative supply. and it feeds through from the other board through this connector. This cap was one of the ones that was leaking all over the place. So it's very likely that some of the crap leaked down through the board here and may have damaged internal traces. Again, it might not be a split supply. One might be for the analog circuits and one for the digital circuits, because, you know, I mean, you see on here, this is the divide between the digital and the analog. And you can see this is these three headers that come down here that go through the board. Although, well, it probably is positive and negative. We'll pop it together again. I'm going to look at these ones and just see whether I see a negative voltage. I think I should see a negative voltage on one of those. And the one in the middle is probably ground. We can verify that. I'll just put my meter on continuity mode and just see whether if I tap ground and touch the one in the middle, whether it beeps. So the one in the middle is this one. Yeah, that's ground. So that's VAA and that's VDD. We'll just throw this board back in. I'll just check and see. I think we're missing a voltage is why this thing's not working. Let's just see what I've got on this plug here. I've got 4 volts and I've got 7 volts. Okay, well, okay, is it supposed to be 4 and 7, or is it supposed to be a negative supply there? Okay, well, maybe that is right. Maybe there is only one supply on this thing. I don't know. I don't see any negative supplies anywhere on here. I have no idea what this thing's supposed to run on. All I know is that I should have sound and I don't. I have no negative. I have like a 2.2 and 5 volts, 0. Like, are some of these supposed to be negative voltages? 7 volts, 1.8, 5 volts. 0.2. You know, that's what the thing is. I just don't know. So I think at this point in the game, I'm just going to have to say I give up. Even with a manual for this thing, it would be, you know, very difficult to try to do anything because see this one here. I don't know. There's supposed to be a voltage there. It says F101, like that's a fuse. But is there supposed to be power here? Am I losing power somewhere? I just don't know. Without a manual, it's you know, you're just guessing. I'm sure it's a missing voltage somewhere, but where it's missing is that's the big question. So I think at this point in the game, I'm going to just have to say I'm done. Let the fellow know that owns this one that this one here is probably not going to be worth fixing, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes sometimes. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Too much time wasted on this one already. Bye.